Hey y'all, my name's Olivia Froelich. I'm a naturopathic doctor. I'm also a PhD student, and I'm sick of freaking reading research. I mean, I'm not all the way sick of it, but I'm sick of reading research in terms of like it being this like super stingy language. So I figured what would be really fun is, we always do this in our heads, right? Or some of us do this in order to help us learn things or help explain it to people, is we take these concepts, whether they be scientific or, history, geography. I don't know how people study things. But we like to either personify it or give it a different kind of personality that we can relate it with so that we can kind of help categorize it in our brains. So what I figured I'd do is I felt like looking at the research for different alternative medicine type of interventions for arthritis. And this is like your run-of-the-mill arthritis, not your inflammatory arthritis like rheumatoid arthritis. This is just straightforward arthritis. So how I did this is that I wanted to gather systematic reviews or meta-analyses for all of these different interventions. And those types of research are going to take more of a bird's eye view of all of the research that is currently done on those interventions and kind of see what the quality of it is, see if there's any biases within those research papers, and kind of just like in their own very scientific and sometimes boring way, like rank the research. So I wanted to do that, but make it fun or more fun and put it into this website called Tier Maker. So what you can do, or what I did, was that I just made a bunch of different categories. Almost, I took it like a high school, all these different kind of stereotypes, and then I'm going to try to kind of categorize them based on that. So the top of the hierarchy are the hot nerds, is the hot nerds club. These are the people who've got the brains and the beauty. So like, this is the research that I think, remember, my bias and my opinion is going to be injected throughout all of this. So this is not medical advice. This is not me telling you that you should do one of these interventions over the other. This, in fact, is just me looking at the research and just kind of having fun and ranking it in a cool way. So the Hot Nerds Club, this is like the top of the pyramid. Then we have the Girl Next Door. And the Girl Next Door is... she's unassuming, so like maybe there's like the research is pretty good, the safety, like it looks like a safe bet, but you never know. She might be like a badass underneath or a punk rocker chick, which is always great. But this is kind of like the like research is good, it's safe, but you never know what we could find out later down the line. Okay, Jock is just kind of like, all right, Jock, like you do sports, we get it. The posers are the interventions that have a lot of research behind them, and like the research isn't that great. Like people, like they're putting on a good front. They have a good PR team. Like people might always do these interventions or still do them in these different clinics, but maybe there's like not as good research behind them. I don't know. The posers are just kind of like why are you still here? You know? I love posers, but okay. Anywho. And then the last one is you must be new here. Like, we don't know much about you. You got to make a name for yourself. You got to have more research behind you before we hang out with you or put you into any of these other categories. Just to reiterate, this is not medical advice. No, not medical advice. What this is just a fun way to rank these different pieces of research. Another thing that I will not be doing is I'm not going to be showing or reading through the articles on screen with you. The reason being is that it'll take a lot of freaking time. I have my phone here with all of my notes. They're not really in depth. It's just kind of what I'm going to look at as I'm trying to rank them. Things included are like the journal that the research came from. So is it a peer-reviewed journal? That might make it more of a hot nerds club, or even if it's in a peer-reviewed journal and the research isn't that good, then I trust that a lot. So I might be putting it into posers and just some like notes about what the research found. And another reason why I'm not going to be showing it on screen is that some of these articles are behind a paywall and I don't want to encroach on the authors money, right? I don't want to be showing their hard work for free on the internet. So without further ado, let's frickin' rank some research, shall we? Okay, so the first one up is Kinesiotaping Man. He is ready to go. So the research article that I looked at, it was a meta-analysis of a bunch of different randomized controlled trials, and it was from the International Journal of Surgery, which is peer-reviewed, so pretty high quality, or I'm going to trust it a little bit more. And what this meta-analysis found, it looked at 5 different randomized control trials, and overall it did improve pain and range of motion on a few of the, like, the more standardized scales. So, what group? Okay, this one's gonna go straight into OK Jock, because the research is good when the person has the tape on and if it's done correctly. And I mean, honestly, if you're going to go with kinesiotaping, you're essentially just like showing off your cool intervention, and you're probably a jock and you probably play sports, and those sports probably hurt you and you want the world to know about it. Anyway, okay. KT, kinesiotaping, OK Jock. Okay, moving on. Let's talk about platelet-rich plasma injection. So this is the PRP injections. Essentially what they do is they're going to take the blood out of, not the blood. They're going to drain your body of all the blood. They're going to take a bit of blood out of your body, spin it down, and then a portion of that liquid in the tube is super, super high in platelets and then also different growth factors. So then they just take that liquid and they inject it into the joint with the idea that those growth factors are going to help kind of regrow the cartilage in your joint. So this research was from 2016. By the way, kinesiotaping was in 2018. So the PRP injections 2016, and this was from the Journal of Arthroscopic and Related Surgery, also peer-reviewed. It was a systematic review, and this was really, really quite convincing to me research. So they looked at 6 different studies, and the after PRP like pain scores, functionality scores were way better, super scientific term, than the pre-PRP injection scores. So, you know, I'm going to put her, she's going to go in the hot nerds club. I was pretty convinced by this research. Next we're going to talk about hydrotherapy. Ugh, what a bummer. So, there's really no research. Don't come for me. There's really no research. And unfortunately, the research that there is research that is talking about doing exercise in water, which I didn't read most of the research because I didn't have time. I had to read all this other research. So most of that research is good if you're doing exercises in the water because you're taking kind of some of that gravity away, while someone can be working on their range of motion and doing some strengthening. But just straight up like naturopathic applications of hydrotherapy, like doing hot and cold water applications or contrast or cold sheet wraps, there's really no research. So even though hydrotherapy is absolutely not new to the block, she's got to go and you must be new here because there's just no research. And it kind of makes sense that there's not really much research because who is going to make money off of that? New one. Okay, next, diathermy. This freaking robot-looking robot. Diathermy is a treatment that you essentially use this huge drum, this like head thing right here. I don't know if you can see my little hand pointer, but it's going to emit a frequency that's going to cause deep heating within the joint. Oh, by the way, a lot of this research was dealing with knee osteoarthritis, which I thought was a fine common ground. And knee osteoarthritis is quite common. So now that that's out of the way. So this paper was for the diathermy. It was from 2012. It was in the journal Osteoarthritis and Cartilage, which is from the Osteoarthritis Research Society International, and it's peer-reviewed. And it was both a systematic review and a meta-analysis, so We like that. So that already is telling me, okay, I can maybe trust this research more because it's going through a peer-reviewed process. However, and I'm going to trust their results. So there was no significant change in terms of pain reduction, no effect on joint inflammation, no significant change in range of motion. That's like how much you can move the joint. And it didn't improve gait and it didn't improve quality of life. So she's going in posers because it looks really cool, but there's really nothing behind it. Why is it here, you know? Moving on. That's enough time for diathermy. Okay. The next one is low-level laser therapy. So that's this cool-looking thing down here. This is from 2015, again from the Osteoarthritis and Cartilage Journal, which is peer-reviewed, another systematic review and meta-analysis. So again, I'm going to trust what they find. Trust more so, you know, you're still always going to be looking to see if their methods were good. So they looked at 9 different studies. Pain immediately following treatment, so immediately after the low-level laser therapy, improved slightly, but then anytime after that, there was no change in pain improvement, and the stiffness and function was still present, and the range of motion was not improved. So overall, this is another poser, because they're not really offering much besides just like looking really cool. Okay, they're a poser. They're posing. They look cool, but nothing behind it. Okay, next, ultrasound, this other cool looking thing here. This is from 2016 from the journal Clinical Rehabilitation, peer reviewed. We love it. Systematic review and meta-analysis. Okay, what do we got? So the paper showed, or they claim that there was a reduction in pain and also some reduction in functional disability. So people were, or the participants were saying that they felt like their joint was more functional and less painful. However, the studies that included some more objective measure of pain, so they had a 50-meter walking test, they found no difference. So it wasn't able to decrease the walking time, which we might assume would mean that the person was able to move more quickly with less pain. So people are reporting that they're feeling better, but there's not really an objective measure. So I don't really know how to feel about ultrasound. I'm gonna go with it's a poser. It looks cool. I'm not convinced of the research behind it. Remember, this is my bias. Some people out there might freaking love ultrasound, but me just looking at that research, not convinced. Poser are us. Next, hyaluronic acid injections. We've got another injection. This was from 2021. So this is hot off the press. This is from the American Journal of Sports Medicine. This is another peer-reviewed journal. So good. Systematic review and meta-analysis. Great. They looked at 18 different studies, and actually, they don't, at this point in the game, when it comes to different injectables for arthritis, we have like conventional, so non-alternative medicine, mainstream medicine, whatever. They will often use corticosteroid injections. Those are becoming less popular. The research is not really in favor of that anymore. So now we're starting to look at the PRP injections, which is in the hot nerds club, hanging out at the top. And then they also compare it to hyaluronic acid injections. So the study that I was looking at, this one, was comparing hyaluronic acid to PRP, and PRP just did way better. Hyaluronic acid didn't really even help improve the pain really at all. So she's gonna go in. So I feel confident about the research, so it's not going in You Must Be New here. Not going in OK Jock, not going in Girl Next Door. Another poser. Sorry. That's what it is. Okay, last one of this like kind of first chunk. These were all kind of like physical interventions. So the last one is exercise. And man, oh man, is my bias just gonna ring true here. So this is 2015 paper from the British Journal of Sports Medicine. This is I think in addition to a Cochrane database systematic review. So we love. They looked at 54 additional studies that they're adding to already the growing base of information. They found statistically improved pain post-exercise, statistically improved function post-exercise, statistically improved quality of life. You got to keep doing it, though. That was the one thing that I did write down, is that they showed that it's really important to keep it up. And if you do it and then you stop doing it, so I can't speak to how long their interventions were going, maybe for a few weeks, maybe a little bit longer. So even if they had people just doing it for a short amount of time, there was some sustained increase in function of the joint, but the pain started coming back. Evidence leans toward any style of weight or aerobic exercise, not so much supporting like Tai Chi or non-specific routines, which only include stretching or balancing. So you got to have some weight training or aerobic exercise. Based on the research, I am not making any recommendations. You gotta go to your own doctor for that. Okay. Sorry, y'all. They're going right into the Hot Nerds Club. I was going to say I don't make the rules, but I literally do. This is my world. Let's zoom in a little bit more. We love. Okay. Now let's move on to these little gray squares, which are all just the different nutritional supplements that I brought up. Spoiler alert, there's a lot more not peer-reviewed journals. 3. Okay. Let's start with glucosamine. This is one that I originally put on my Instagram story, just trying to gauge what people thought of when they thought of different like alternative medicine for arthritis, and people who responded said glucosamine more often than not. So this is a systematic review and meta-analysis from the peer-reviewed journal Clinical Rheumatology, and this is from 2017. They looked at 18 different studies overall. Unfortunately, as we're starting to get into these nutritional supplements, a lot of them have like combo therapy. So only 9 of those 18 had glucosamine only. The other ones had combinations, even with some of the other ones on this list, but I really only focused on what they had to say about the glucosamine only studies. And larger trials, so those that had participants equal to or above 100, which you want to see trials that have more subjects in it, because then you can trust the data that you get more from it. So all of the larger trials showed no benefit with glucosamine alone. Wasn't really having an effect. Yeah, not really significant. So guess where she's going? Posers. Because I trust this info. I trust the journal. I trust how new the research is. So it's a poser. It's another poser. Sorry, y'all. Okay. Chondroitin sulfate. So this is one that is often combined with glucosamine. Okay. This is a study from another Cochrane database systematic review. It's from 2015. So I'm going to I'm going to trust this information a little bit more. Okay. So they had quite a large group of papers that they were looking at. So they had 43 different papers. Remember, the other ones that we're talking about, exercise had the most at 54. The one that we just talked about with glucosamine had 9 only that looked at glucosamine alone. And then we're kind of getting to 4 or 5 or 6 different things. So this was looking at 43. And the notes that I have written down is that it may improve pain slightly. It isn't dangerous, which is another huge thing that you want to see from these, all interventions, period. You want to see the safety data. So they reported that it wasn't dangerous compared to the placebo or any other intervention they were comparing it to. And it slightly slows the narrowing of the joint space, which is what they found. So where's chondroitin going? Not new here. I thought I had good research. Posers, no. Okay, Jock, no. Hot Nerds Club, it isn't like hit me over the head type of research. So this is going to be our first girl next door. You know, I'm starting to trust it. It's cute. It's safe. You know, we'll see. We'll see what more research comes of it. And of course, a lot of people do combine this with other things. So I'm going to put this in the girl next door. So next, avocado soybean oil. This is one that I really forgot was something that people talk about. This was from a not peer-reviewed journal. It was a systematic review and meta-analysis from the International Journal of Rheumatic Diseases. I couldn't find any info on this being a peer-reviewed journal. Whatever, but it's like one of the only systematic review meta-analyses that I could find on it. It's from 2019, so quite recent. They could only narrow it down to 5 papers, and they found that the research sort of showed that it helped with knee osteoarthritis. Wow. It sort of helped with knee osteoarthritis, but not hip osteoarthritis. And hip arthritis is known to be a little bit more severe. So that was kind of, for me, I was like, okay, so it's not really going to help with like the big hitter arthritis, but I guess I can't count that against it because we were looking at knee arthritis for the rest of these. So, sort of helped with knee pain. There was no difference in joint space narrowing, which I don't know, y'all. Oh, and this is also not from a peer-reviewed journal. So you know what? Avocado soybean oil, you're going and you must be new here. I gotta see more from you before I can, you know, put you into Hot Nerds Club or Girl Next Door. You know, we're just starting to meet them. Okay, collagen. So collagen, this is another one that has like a really good PR team. Like everyone thinks of collagen for arthritis. This was coming from the journal, not peer-reviewed, called International Orthopedics. Again, I could not find any information on this being peer-reviewed. Sincerest apologies if it is, because it's going to affect how I rank it. It's a meta-analysis, and it's from 2019. Cool. So they looked at 5 papers. It did not affect pain or functional limitation. This one's kind of weird because there's this one score. The acronym is WOMAC, like WOMAC. I forget what it stands for because I just read the acronym so often that I just started calling it WOMAC. But essentially, it's a listing of, it's a validated score for researchers to kind of rank how well an intervention does for arthritis, because it deals with the patient's reported pain, the stiffness, the functionality, and this is a subjective scoring system. So they found that what are we working on? Collagen. It found that it reduced the total WOMAC score and helped with stiffness. However, when they broke it down to look at the actual subgroups of like the pain part of the WOMAC score and the functional part of the WOMAC score, it did not significantly improve those. So I just don't know how to categorize that. And also like overall across the 5 trials, the study population itself was small. So, and it's on a peer-reviewed journal. So collagen, you know, part of me wants to say you must be new here, but I think I might just put it in posers because it has such a good PR team. Everyone thinks about collagen. There's so many different collagen supplements, so I'm just going to put it straight into posers. I don't even know if I want more. I always want more research on something. Anywho, it's a poser. Okay. Vitamin D. We love thinking that vitamin D can help with everything, don't we? I mean, it's necessary. But let's take a look at this. So this research, it was a systematic and meta-analysis from the journal Clinical Biochemistry, peer-reviewed to the gods, from 2017. So I'm going to trust this information more so. Like, I'm going to wait it a little bit more. They were able to narrow it down to 4 papers, and I don't count that against them. I just mean that this like great peer-reviewed journal was only able to find 4 papers that they thought, you know, like hit the standards that they were able to actually look at the research. And they found no real clinically important change in pain, and it didn't help with cartilage volume either. So this is going right into poser. Vitamin D gets mentioned for a lot of these different things. The reason being is there's a lot of correlation studies that come out where they like look at a bunch of people with arthritis and then see how many of those people also have low vitamin D. And so they might find that a lot of people who have arthritis also have low vitamin D. So then they hypothesize that vitamin D could help improve arthritis, which is a fine hypothesis to come up with. But it looks like when we start testing a lot of these different interventions or vitamin D for some of these different conditions, that it just isn't holding up as a treatment option. So it's a poser. Great PR, great PR. Okay, next one, vitamin K. This is a lit review. Could only find a lit review, so isn't as like strong as a systematic review or a meta-analysis. And this was from another great peer-reviewed journal called Nutrients. And this is from 2020, so we love her. But unfortunately, the evidence just isn't there. It's going right into you must be new here. But yeah, there's not good research on it. There's not a lot of research on it. BI. Okay, let's look at the antioxidants. These are like vitamins A, vitamin E, and C. Selenium also got mentioned, but that was in a lot of papers that was looking at like inflammatory arthritis, like rheumatoid arthritis. So the one that I was looking at was a systematic review from the journal called Rheumatology, which isn't a peer-reviewed journal. Shocking, I know, with such a minimalistic name like that. Again, I couldn't find any information on it being peer-reviewed. Much apologies to Rheumatology if you are. From 27? 27. It's from 2007. So they looked... This is kind of difficult because this was like looking at antioxidants overall, and they found 9 different papers that were either looking at vitamin E or vitamin A for osteoarthritis. They found larger sample sizes that were testing vitamin E against osteoarthritis. They found no benefit. The vitamin C trial, there was only one, and it was weak evidence, and vitamin A had nothing to offer either, is what I wrote. They probably made it sound a little bit nicer. But this is going right into you must be new here. There's not a lot of research on it. Not a lot of research on it. Next, bromelain. And this is our last one for our nutritional supplements. And then we're going to start talking about our herbal things. So there's kind of like a category called the proteolytic enzymes. The main one that I think of for arthritis is bromelain. If I'm forgetting any, put them in the comments below. But let's look. Which one did I look at? So the best like overarching research that I could find was a lit review, a literature review. That's when authors kind of spend time looking at all of the different trials that exist. That's a big task. They look at a lot of different, some of the like the largest well-known trials, and then some other ones. They gather those all up and kind of just summarize. It's not as systematic as a systematic review. So lit reviews is kind of just like a summary piece. They're great. I'm in the midst of writing one right now, so I'm not one to bash lit reviews. We love a good lit review. And this was from the Evidence-Based Complementary and Alternative Medicine Journal, and it is peer-reviewed, and it's from 2004. What did they have to say about it? So, unfortunately, when they were looking at the information, they were just saying that dosage is still all over the place. So there was like really no common ground across the different papers that talked about what dosage to use. And then they said that when dosage gets increased, there are more side effects. So, you know, and that's really all the notes I have on it. It's going to go into you must be new here. First of all, we need more safety data. Like, do a girl a favor. Okay. We are moving on to the herbal supplements. So the first one we're talking about is Boswellia serrata. This is also frankincense, for those of you nerds out there. So this was a systematic and meta-analysis paper from the Complementary Medicine and Therapies Journal, which is peer-reviewed. This is from 2020. It's funny that my brain just like it saw the year 2020 and immediately blacked out. It was like, don't say that year. I've got to like sage my room now. Okay, so it's from 2020. Okay, get this. Look, they looked at 7 different papers. It improved pain, improved one of that womac score, which now maybe editing me will put in the actual acronym. And it also improves stiffness and function. So you know what? Miss Boswellia, you're going into the girl next door. The safety data, it's pretty safe. They did report on that. Pretty efficacious based on this. It's from a peer-reviewed journal. So you know what? She is a girl next door. You know, we're still waiting for her to open up a little bit, but we're gonna say she's safe, and you know, based on the research, we like her. Next one, I'm gonna make this quick. I had in my like clinical notebook something about ginger being indicated for arthritis. I'm assuming because of like anti-inflammatory properties. I found a systematic review in the International Journal of Evidence-Based Healthcare, not peer-reviewed, bummer, from 2008. There was really no evidence here, so they're going right into you must be new here. Wah, wah. Next one, Harpagophytum procumbens. This is also known as devil's claw. This was a systematic review in the BMC Complementary Medicine and Therapies Journal from 2004. Let's see. So they had 12 different papers. 5 were of osteoarthritis of the knee or hip, because I think this was just looking at Harpagophytum for a bunch of different like muscle or bone related pain type things. Generally, trials favored Harpagophytum in comparison to NSAID pharmaceuticals, but there's not really that much evidence and there's no discussion of safety. So that's a big problem. Listen, I think Harpagophytum can become a girl next door. However, it's gotta go and you must be new here. If there's really not safety data on it, it's gotta be in the you must be new here. Sorry. Okay, turmeric. Hey, everyone knows turmeric. So definitely not going in you must be new here. Spoiler alert. This is a systematic review and meta-analysis from the Journal of Medicinal Food, peer-reviewed, and this is from 2016. Okay, get this. They looked at 8 different papers. Turmeric significantly improved pain and functioning than placebo. No difference between turmeric and commercially available pain medicine, which at first some people are like, oh, well, it's not statistically different. But hey, it's not statistically different than conventional pain meds. That's pretty good. That means it might be as efficacious as those other available pain medicines. And it reported on safety being not statistically different than the adverse effects reported in the placebo or the NSAID group. So the safety data is good. Turmeric, my friend. Okay. So I think originally I was leaning towards girl next door for turmeric. But let's see. Okay, peer-reviewed journal. 8. You know what? Hot Nerds Club. They've still got to study though. You know, it's not just like a nerd straight off the bat. They still have to study. I still want to see some grade improvement, that's for sure, but they're hot. You know, I'm feeling it. Okay, last one, Salix alba. This is willow bark. This is where we originally, got aspirin, so we have high hopes for Miss Salix. This is a systematic review from the peer-reviewed journal Phytotherapy Research in 2009, and unfortunately, this systematic review was another one that was kind of just looking at musculoskeletal pain things overall. There wasn't really any research specific for osteoarthritis. So I've got to put them into you must be new here. Because I want more research. So this is our final ranking. Hot Nerds Club, we got PRP injections, exercise, turmeric. None of the nutritional supplements made it up to the top. No, it's too close. Back up. Girl Girl next door, we have chondroitin sulfate, Boswellia. Okay, Chuck is kinesiotaping. We've got a bunch of posers down here, of course, all the cool looking gadgets, and then a lot of you must be new here's. So I hope you all enjoyed this. Yeah, if you have any ideas for other things that you want me to rank, I would love to do them. I thought this was a lot of fun. It was great to kind of rank the research in my head, not just on how different systematic reviews say like high quality evidence, low quality evidence, because I wasn't looking at this research in regards to actually using it as an intervention. I was just looking at the quality of research. So I hope you all enjoyed. If you did, give it a like, thumbs up, subscribe. I'll be hopefully posting more videos like this one and some other ones I have in my brain. And I'll see you later. Bye.